Hello, welcome to week 3. So, this week I hope everybody is enjoying some downtime. I hope everybody had Monday off. I am doing what I said I was going to do last week and try to shoot these videos on Sunday afternoon. So, hopefully, then if you are off tomorrow, you'll have a chance to look at everything for this week. So, like I said, this week is week 3, so we're just going to jump right in here. And so this week we're going to be talking about, we'll get into more details about it, but we're going to be talking about teaching standards. But before we do that, we're going to talk, we have a few housekeeping items that I kind of want to go through real quick. So field experience. For those of you who emailed me personally about field experience, I have put out requests to the people that you asked me to contact. So I hopefully will hear back from them probably on Tuesday, since obviously nobody's in school on Monday. So hopefully next week we will start getting those placements and start getting all that kind of solidified. I'm sorry, I don't remember if I talked about this last week, but for field experience, my opinion is that you should be done by the middle of November. And that's because for those who have been in schools know that when we get to between Thanksgiving and Christmas, insanity ensues in any building that you're in. It doesn't matter what grade level, just things go awry. And so that's kind of why I recommend that you try to get all of it done. Librarians, I know this is a personal problem that I've had, and I know I have friends that have had similar stories to share, that we'll have people coming in like you to do observation hours, and all of a sudden my principal will get there that morning and tell me, oh, by the way, we have this meeting or whatever is happening in the library and you're shutting the library down for the day. Well, for you to go observe something like that is worthless. It's not worth your time. So if that happens, then but if you're trying to if something like that happens and it's the first week of November, you're kind of running out of time to get all of that stuff completed. So that's kind of why I recommend that as quickly as you can, you try to make sure that you get all of your field experience logged in. So that's my 10 cents on field experience. So let's see. Now we're going to talk about the discussion question for this week. This week we're going to be the first week that we'll actually do Flipgrid. Flipgrid is the video that we kind of talked about in class 2 weeks ago. So for Flipgrid, I'm going to get into, I did a whole video on how to use Flipgrid. So if you scroll down to the complete module, it gives you your discussion post and then how to do a Flipgrid video. So there isn't anything in the discussion post itself that you need to do this week. Everything that you do for the discussion board will be done in Flipgrid. That means your original content will be done in Flipgrid. You'll be shooting a video for that, and you're going to do 2 shorter videos responding to your classmates. So the link is here because I have to have a link to the rubric, and so I can give you points for it. That's really the only reason why this link exists like it does right now. In the version that we had of D2L that we had previously, it was the only way I could do it. I have found out that that's not the case now with the new version, but at this point I will leave it alone because I don't want to be deleting grades and moving things around. So that's how, so when you get to the point of you're ready to dip your toe into Flipgrid and kind of figure out what it's all about, I suggest that you watch the video, and once you get used to Flipgrid, it really is user-friendly. I think you'll really enjoy it. So that's it for the discussion post for this coming week. Okay, so let's see what else. Oh, Easter eggs. Okay, so as most teachers know, sometimes things that you do in your classroom, you do because of things that have happened previously. So there is this thing in the world of teaching online called Easter eggs. It's where professors who shoot videos weekly will do something in the video that if you don't watch the video, you won't know about. So, and then we get questions, and this is how this came about. In a month to 6 weeks from now, we will get questions, or I will get questions about Flipgrid, or about field experience, or about something else that I've talked about. So, and it tells me quickly that you didn't watch the video. So we started, and Tara's doing the same thing. We've started putting in what I call Easter eggs. Basically, I'm going to make a comment, and this will be the only time that I'm telling you about Easter eggs. From this point forward, I'm just going to put them in there. You won't know when, you won't know where. Sometimes they'll be, I'll put one at the beginning, but then I'll put one at the end too. Or sometimes I'll just put one in the middle. So it pretty much means you have to watch the whole video in order to figure out where the Easter egg is. So if it is a week where I put one in the middle, I won't. It could be that that might be the only one, but there could also be another one at the end. So it's to your benefit to listen to the videos all the way through. So for this week, I'm going to tell you, obviously I'm put it out right here. It says, you're going to send me an email and tell me what is the last thing that I say in this video. So when we get down to the last thing that I want to talk about in the video, then you're going to send me an email. Just give me 1 or 2 sentences. I don't need a transcript of what I said. And you're going to send it back to me. And that way I kind of know that, yes, you did watch the video and you watched the video all the way to the end. So, okay, so our next face-to-face class is supposed to be on Wednesday in like 2 weeks from now. But unfortunately, as I said, the first night of class, we had a quick turnover. One of our adjuncts who had been teaching for us in our Tech for Teachers class, she emailed me and told me that her situation at the building that she was teaching in had changed and that she would not be able to teach for us, unfortunately, this semester. So that basically gave me 10 days before classes started to find somebody who could take over that class. Well, that person happens to be the librarian who we're going to go visit in 2 weeks. So with that said, because we are doing it on a Tuesday night instead of a Wednesday night, it now becomes a situation of complete voluntary. In other words, you're not required to be there because, contractually you committed to being in class on a Wednesday night. And for, circumstances beyond anyone's control, really, we're not going to be, this class is not going to be on Wednesday night. It's going to be on a Tuesday night. It's going to be in a couple of weeks. So I'm just kind of giving you a heads up now. One of the nice things about, since it not being on an official class night, for the time that you spend with me at Westfield Elementary will count as 3 hours towards your field experience. You do have to physically be present for it to count towards your field experience, though. So that would be 3 hours of your elementary time that you could spend for this class, that you could spend and knock it out, and you'd be done. It'd be easy peasy, and then that would be, literally one less thing that you'd have to worry about. So that's just kind of, I'm just tossing it out there. Like I said, I obviously can't make you come because contractually you agreed to Wednesday, not Tuesday night. So I'm going to be sending more details out about this, but if you look at the syllabus, it'll tell you when our next face-to-face class is, which is in 2 weeks, that and kind of, get on you'll see on here the address. And for the nights that we do meet face-to-face, which there'll be one in October and one in November, that those will also be starting at 5 o'clock. So hopefully that'll make it a little easier. This one is here in Edmond, but it's way the heck out on Pennsylvania, depending on where you live in Edmond. It may take you a little bit of time to get out to that site. So that's kind of why I just extended it to 5 p.m. I also will be, we will have snacks. Some people consider it dinner, some people consider it snacks, but whatever you consider it, there will be food there. You are certainly welcome to bring your own drinks. I'll have water, bottled water there. So, but if you prefer to have something else to drink while you're there, then you're certainly free to bring that. Beth does ask that whatever you bring, that it has like a lid to just kind of prevent any spills or whatnot that happen in her library. So, all right, so that's it for the face-to-face experience in a couple of weeks. Okay, so now we're going to move into the content for this week. So at this point, you're going to need to start thinking about everything with your library hat on. I know for, like I said before, a couple of you are librarians. That's going to be an easy thing for you to do. For the rest of you, it's going to be maybe a little harder. So, but when you start thinking about the content, as you're reading the content, as you're, starting to come up with the responses, whether it be in Flipgrid or in a discussion post, start answering them in the way that you would as a librarian. Okay, so you're like, but I don't even know how to be a librarian. Give it your best shot. I understand that this is for the first class that a lot of you have had. So just, give it your best guess. I'd rather try to guide you through this process and kind of know where you're struggling than to just kind of send you out there and assume you know everything and then you totally understand nothing. So as you start, like I said, as you start answering the questions each week, please make sure that you're answering them with the mindset of a school librarian. Okay, so this week we're going to talk about teaching standards. As I've said before, and you're going to hear us say a million times before you graduate, you're a teacher. You are required to be a teacher in the state to be a school librarian if you're going to be fully qualified. There are all exceptions to that, and I'm not going to get into that with this. So the standards that if you're coming into this as a teacher, then you're used to having either your grade level or your subject specific standards. As I've said before, wherever building you end up in as a school librarian, you get to know all the standards. So if you're in a high school, obviously that would probably be 9th through 12th grade. Elementary, yeah, we get the luck of the draw and we get to know pre-K through 5th grade, and for those at Tulsa Public Schools, it's pre-K to 6th grade. So it's just a unique environment in the elementary world. Those who are in what I call true middle schools, meaning that it only has like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they're lucky they get 3, but that's still a lot to learn, and they usually have more classes and just more students to deal with in general. So there are different standards that we get to deal with. The state standards, which is what most people think of when they think about standards, because the library standards are embedded in the state standards. So when you look at things like social studies, when you look at obviously reading reading, you see those embedded. You also see them embedded in science and math. Those tend to be more the research oriented kind of things as far as the standards go. So, but they're there. You can't go to the state website and see specifically these are the library standards. No, they're embedded, they're there, and you're just going to have to go through and kind of dig them out. And this is a topic that we'll talk more about later. This is where collaboration comes in and kind of why collaboration becomes real important between you and a classroom teacher. So ISTE, for those who don't know what ISTE is, those are the technology standards. As I've probably said before, technology is integrated through the library 9 times out of 10. So the ISTE standards are something that you need to be aware of. AASL standards, the 21st century standards, those are the ones that these are actually in the process of being changed. I know, lucky us, huh? So, but these are still important. And probably for right now, as far as when you guys go to take the OSAT for a library, this is what you're going to need to know. The new standards are out there, and there's a link for this week. For those of you who are already in a school library, I'm going to suggest that you look at the crosswalk and we're going to talk more about it when we meet face-to-face in a couple of weeks, because there's a whole bunch of like getting used to the format and kind of things, and that's something I want to try to do in an environment like this where I'm just pushing it out to you and you end up going, what the heck are you talking about, lady? So like I said, we're going to talk more about the new standards in a couple weeks when we see each other face to face. So but for right now, this week, what you probably need to focus on why I recommend you look at these others. The ones that you need to focus on are the AASL 21st century standards. Hey, give me just a second. I'll flip over to here. This is actually a handy dandy printout that yes, you can purchase, or at least right now you can purchase it from ALA, but you can also print it out. So this may be something that I recommend that you might want to think about printing out and actually having a printed copy. Okay, so the first standard that AASL covers was the inquire, think critically, and gain knowledge. And then it has all of these little handy dandy sub skills that it breaks it down into. This one is probably the easiest to read. We've started looking at the new one, and right now it's not as easy to read, maybe because I haven't read it as many times at this point. But I do like the fact, at least this one, like I said, it's broken down into the skills, into dispositions and action, the responsibilities for the student, self-assessment strategies. One of the things that we always try to do is try to give students enough knowledge where they can go out and do this stuff on their own. I'm going to highly recommend, when I say in this week's discussion post, I tell you to pick 2 skills. So just pick like conclude an inquiry-based research process by sharing new understanding and reflecting on the learning. Okay, you go, what the heck is that all mean? So basically you're talking about an end product. Are they going to create a PowerPoint? Are they going to create Google Slides? What is it they're going to do? What is it you want them to do? A lot of times that's what students want to know before they know anything else from you. What do I have to do? What's the final product? I want to know what that is, and then then they kind of backfill in from there. So a lot of times if you tell them, hey, we're going to do something fun, then they tend to be a little more engaged, especially if you're going to use a tech tool. There are lots of things in Google that you can do, but those stuff that you cover in tech class, so I try not to step on toes in that area. But so basically when you're answering the questions for this week in the discussion post, I'm just looking like for big picture. I'm not looking like for specific details, like, we would do, what would you do? So for me, if I was going to answer this question in a Flipgrid environment, I'd tell you, I'm going to have the kids create a Prezi. We're going to probably focus, let's say on 3rd grade, since that's especially the first testing grade. I would have them focus on probably something in the science area because they like science, and that's something that is easy to do. That we can also include reading. Nonfiction text is obviously written on a higher level. It's really hard sometimes to get kids to engage in nonfiction content. So we would have them create a Prezi using nonfiction books on a topic that whatever the teacher decided the topic needed to be. Life sciences are usually something that the kids have fun with, so that's probably what we would do. So that's kind of it. I'm not looking for a big long thesis here, just something quick, short to the point. You only have 5 minutes in Flipgrid to talk, so like I said, just kind of keep it short to the point. And start thinking about these things as a school librarian. Okay, so I think, let me double check, make sure we haven't forgotten anything here. Nope, so that is it. So in wrapping up, please make sure you do your discussion post this week. It's in Flipgrid. And if you have any problems, please let me know. I look forward to seeing everybody's Flipgrid. Have a great week.